Melissa Ambrosini, welcome back to Get Gutsy.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, and I appreciate you getting up nice and early Australia time to connect with me and our beautiful audience. Where exactly in Australia are you?
Right now, I'm in Sydney and it is 7 o'clock in the morning.
Woo! Now, do you live in Sydney or?
Yeah, we
Yes.
kind of we go between Sydney and a place called Noosa. Have you heard of Noosa?
No. How do you spell that?
It's and
Noosa?
yes,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about an hour and a half flight north of here in Queensland, and it's just like heaven. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. So that's like
Just,
your retreat, like where you go to
yeah.
reset. Mm-hmm.
Yes, reset, retreat. It's just ocean and park and hiking and relaxation and full nervous system reset. Where Sydney is, where we live in Sydney, we live in Bondi Beach, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot more hustle and bustle and busy.
Right, right. That's so great that you have it. And you are in summer there right now as we're recording this, correct? So we're like
Yeah,
opposite.
well, we just hit autumn, so fall.
Okay, yeah, because we're about to move into spring. Technically
Yeah.
spring here, although for anyone who's tuning into the video, we are full on having a snow day here. We have so much snow here. It's hard to even give you a quantity. And I told Melissa when we first tuned in, and I gave myself full permission today to just stay in my pajamas and robe. Like, cause this is how I show up when it's snow in winter here. It's so cold. I had a bunch of, had like a celebration call for one of my programs that was wrapping today. And it was focusing on intuition and like being truthful and honest. And I'm like, this is truthful Jenny, that when it's snowy out, like this is the way I roll. And I think as, you know, your work with women, my work with women is about being real with yourself and not putting on the show and the facade. And like, I would just be getting dressed to talk to people in my office when I know they're in their pajamas. A lot of my people are in snowy places too. And I'm like, why am I doing that? You know? And so it was this ultimate liberation. I said, I'm just going to do this with Melissa today. Like real Jenny, totally chill. So
I
you are
love
returning.
that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been so fun. Like I really had to check myself a number of times. Like, I'm allowed to do that. That's okay. Like I'm not going to get in trouble. It's all right. Like no one's going to come get me and tell me that is unacceptable, Jenny. That is unprofessional. And if they do, then they're not meant to be in my community. But you know, you were a return guest to our show, Melissa. The first time I had you on, we were looking at mastering your mean girl. We you know, had this beautiful conversation. You shared about your struggle with addiction and poor health. You became a holistic health coach several years ago and really moved into entrepreneurship and focusing on mastering your inner mean girl so you could start living your truth. And we're having you back on the show now because you're, you know, continuing to do extraordinary work, and you have a brand new book out called Open Wide. So I want to dive into what this work is all about and what really led you to doing this work at this point in your journey.
Mm. So this book came through me. The universe tapped me on the shoulder and was like, you need to write this book for women
Mm-hmm.
because they need a manual on how to
Mm-hmm.
navigate relationships with
Mm-hmm.
themselves and with others.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
basically, anyone who wants to experience deep love, rocking relationships, and soulful sex, this
Mm-hmm.
book is for you.
Okay. Tell us more. Tell us more. So how did you get here? Was this, you realized that you weren't doing this in some way, or you realized like you just dove into it and you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize that other women aren't doing this. Like often there's a personal path that got us here and made us realize this was so essential. What was your story?
Definitely, that was my case. I, we're born into this world and no one tells us how to navigate our relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're anything like me, you fumble, you
Mm-hmm.
flounder, you make really poor choices in men, you
Mm-hmm.
make really poor choices in friendships
Mm-hmm.
because you don't know. You just don't
Mm-hmm.
know what you don't know. And so for me, this is very much birthed out of my own personal experience and my own personal journey
Mm-hmm.
to discovering what deep love and rocking relationships and soulful sex is about. I didn't know that any of that existed. I didn't know until I found myself, and then until I met my soulmate, where we went even deeper together. And so this is very much about my story, my journey to discovering these things, deep love and rocking relationships and soulful sex. And it's basically a no BS guide on how to cultivate a beautiful relationship with yourself and others.
So let's break down some of these steps or, truths that you share in the book that our listeners can really just take in and start applying right now.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Bless me.
Such a cute sneeze. Bless you.
So could you please repeat that question for me?
Yeah, let's break down. What are some of the top ways that our listeners can take in some of this wisdom and start applying it so they can revive their relationships? A lot of our listeners are, entrepreneurs or women who are, rocking it in their work in some way. And often the relationships do take a back seat because we, as you know, you pour so much into the work, you love it, you're helping people and you're getting, fueled by that, and like the money's coming and that can feel a bit intoxicating. And then we let the relationships fall by the wayside, and that is not sustainable. So, to our audience of women who are, maybe in that camp where they forgot who it was they were with, or maybe they're single right now and they want to bring in a soulmate. How can we start opening up to deeper relationships?
Well, it all starts with you. It starts with you and your relationship with yourself first, because that is the most important relationship of all. It doesn't matter what's going on outside of you. If you don't have a beautiful relationship with yourself, you're not going to be able to cultivate beautiful relationships with others. So it starts with self-love. It starts with unconditional self-love and getting to a place of feeling that within yourself. And then that will ripple out into all of your other relationships. But it starts with you. Cultivating deep love and rocking relationships comes back to you, because we teach people how to treat us. And if we are treating ourselves like a piece of crap, then that is how other people will treat us. But if you treat yourself with such deep love, reverence, and respect for the divine sovereign being that you actually are, then other people will do that as well. But it comes back to you first. We have to treat ourselves with such love and reverence and respect first. So that's the first place to start.
Yes, it's so important. I'm glad that you bring that up and focus on that in your work. It's challenging for women. We've been conditioned to put ourselves last, to not be selfish, and to be a martyr, and it doesn't work. I'll give you an example today. I've shared this with some of my clients and students in various programs. I had several calls today, and I was so proud. I think you can appreciate this, Melissa, and I'm going to be just super open about it, because wide open. I'm going to be wide open. Today is the start, and we're recording this, is the start of my moon cycle, start of my period. And I've really done a lot of work in getting more of an appreciation for my body and my cycle and the lunar cycle, and understanding how that impacts me. And, that was never anything that I was taught in school or by any of the women who were leading me along my journey as a teenager and as a young one. It's something that I discovered on my own, and I'm so grateful. And then, teachers and books and things like that. And today, didn't know it was going to come today, but it did. And I knew this morning I was feeling very tired, and I was kind of feeling guilty for sleeping more than I would this morning. Like I should be up now, and I just couldn't. Like I just needed my rest. And a little bit later, I realized, oh, my moon cycle is starting today. No wonder I was so tired. And then to take that a step further, I'm married, I have 3 kids. And so I've learned that, especially on the first day of my cycle, I just want some alone time. I want quiet. I need to immerse myself in a bath. And so I said to my husband, listen, it would be great if you could take the kids out to dinner tonight without me. And I would love to just be able to soak in a bath. I started my period today and I want to read a book. And he's like, great, absolutely. And so that for me was self-love. That was me saying, Jenny, slow down. Trust this point in your cycle. And, as you said, it starts with you. That was the best way I could love myself today.
Awesome. Beautiful. Well done.
Thank you.
And you also practice something else that I call in the book, which is called crystal clear communication. So by practicing that with your partner, that is how we do relationships, and we do relationships well. So good on you for practicing that.
Thank you. All right. So crystal clear communication. Let's dive deeper into that, because that is an area. Excuse me for a moment. Let me just pause this. I have multiple children at my door. Okay, I'm back, y'all. I told Melissa, let me pause because I have multiple children at my door. And so I had to crystal clearly communicate with my husband, get the kids. So let's dive deeper into that, because I know that's a source of tension in many people's relationships, where we don't know how to communicate our needs, or it just moves into fighting. And how do we get better at this?
The only way you get better at anything is by practice. So if you want to master the piano, you got to practice. Right. If you want to master your mean girl, you got to practice. If you want to get better at push-ups, you got to practice. And same with, if you want to get better at crystal clear communication, you have to practice. And crystal clear communication is communicating from your heart, not from your head. It's sitting down with your beloved and saying, I feel this, or whatever. It's not, you did this to me, I feel like this because of you. That is not crystal clear communication. And crystal clear communication is not thinking that the other person can read our mind, because they can't. So we need to practice crystal clear communication with ourselves and with everyone around us. And the more that we practice it, the easier it becomes. It's a muscle.
Yes. What you just said, people can't read our mind, like that right there is gold. And we want that, like, why can't you just read my mind? How did you just not know that? And we're all in our own worlds. We have things going on. I don't know always what's going on for my husband or for my children. And I know everyone tuning in, we have people in our lives that matter to us, and we have to be in that mindset that people cannot read our minds. It's not fair to expect them to. And so our job is to be clear about, here's what I need right now. And I love what you said about, speaking from the heart. Like, can we be in that heart center and be able to, speak from that place and receive from that place? And I bet that diminishes the miscommunication or the arguments when we can come from the heart instead of the head or logic, or kind of not being kind with how we're saying things.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So what else? We're starting with ourselves. We're looking at crystal clear communication. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. That's a big piece of your book. Are people like, what's going on with sex lives right now? We've got tech, we've got, communication at our fingertips. How is that affecting the way we are sexually engaging with our partners?
Well, I think, sex is a sacred experience. It is a sacred, godly experience with, unconditional love, pure presence. It's like, it is such a beautiful, sacred act. And for most of my life, I was having junk food sex. I like to call it. So, it was just about getting off, really. Like, there was no communion, there was no unity, there was no divine communion, because I didn't know that that's what it was really about.
Mm-hmm.
And for me now, it is like, it is a godly experience. It is an experience with oneness. It is experience with unconditional love.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have a partner to do this. You can do this by yourself as well. You know,
Mm-hmm.
this is something that you can experience by yourself.
Beautiful.
But it is, your body is your temple, and how you treat it is so important. And so I really want everyone to think, you know, is my lovemaking currently a junk food experience, or is it a deep, divine, soulful experience? Because you can have that. You can actually have the most beautiful, unifying, meditative experience if you choose. And that's what soulful sex is.
So how can we bring this into our lives? Are these some of the, you cover this in your book? Is it like foreplay? Is it like, what is it that can move somebody from like junk food sex or like not really having much sex to this sacred communion? What are some ways that you have discovered and that you want to share with
well
people?
It comes back to you, like, what's your intent? Like, what is your intent? You know, my intent is to unify with my love. Is to experience that with my love. It's to be totally vulnerable and heart cracked open and real and honest and raw and vulnerable in that moment, because that is when we grow and expand. So the best way to experience is to come back to your intent. Like, what is my intent? Start with yourself. Start exploring your own body. Get to know your own body. Love your body. It's because if you can't do it with yourself, then you're not going to be able to do it with anybody else. So start with yourself, and then really look at the intent that you have when you go into the bedroom. What is my intent? Is it to commune with my lover? Is it to be cracked open wide and be vulnerable and real and honest and go deep with my lover? Or is it purely just to get my rocks off? And if that's your intent, then own it. Like, own it. It's fine. Just own it. But if you want to go deeper and richer, then you've got to open wide to that. You've got to open yourself up to being vulnerable and honest and authentic.
Is that really the spirit of what open wide is? Honest, authentic, vulnerable, and how that touches all the areas of your life, not just sex, but everything?
Yeah, absolutely. In every moment, you're either open or you're closed. You're either open to the taxi driver or you're closed to them. You're open to the lady behind the counter at the coffee shop, or you're closed to her. You're open to your partner, or you're closed to them. You're open to your children, or you're closed to them. Or you're open to the person who cuts you off in the traffic lights, or you're closed off to them. So in every moment, you're either open or you're closed. But we came here on earth to be open wide, because when we're open, we're in our heart. When we're closed, we're in our head. Okay, so the whole premise of this book is about cracking you open wide, every cell in your entire body, so that you can be the fullest expression of yourself, so that you can live in your heart space, because that is why we're here. We're not here to live from our head. We're here to live from our heart.
So true. So true. You just said it. I'd love to, with the time we have left, dive into more of your entrepreneurial journey. Like, obviously you have this book and you developed this platform. We first had you on, talking about your Mean Girl book and, mastering that Mean Girl. And I want to just plug into, as a businesswoman, what have these last few years taught you? How have things evolved for you as you've continued, serving people and discovering this next level of what you're here to teach and talk about?
It's been such an awesome journey. I love, my entrepreneurial journey. I love being a creative.
Mm-hmm.
I love being an open vessel for the divine to work through me with my books, my podcasts, my programs, my online work. I love being an open vessel for that. And it's so much fun. I love being a voice for women. I love helping women. I love inspiring them. I love helping them rise to their fullest potential. You know, this is what I'm here to do on this earth. And I absolutely love it. And it's evolved. And, you know, the work that I'm doing just gives me so much joy, so much joy and so much pleasure. And it's so much fun. It's so much fun. Yeah, I absolutely love it. And I'm going to continue to do it and see where it takes me. My whole life and my business and my life is built on intuition.
Yes.
So my whole life is revolves around, well, what does my intuition say? Is it a hell yeah? If it's not a hell yeah, it's a no.
Right.
That is how I run my business and my life. If it is not a hell yeah, it's a no.
Yes. Oh my gosh, girl, I'm with you. And when you said intuition, I'm like, yes, I wish more women would get that. I want to celebrate that from the rooftops. This year, I actually birthed a brand new program called Intuitive Power because I wanted to create a space for women to celebrate intuition. And again, that's being in your body. That's listening to, you know what, day one of my cycle, I need to rest. I need to replenish. I need to, that's good. That's a beautiful thing. And honoring the moon and understanding we cycle with the moon. We are the moon. It's magic. And when we bring women together and remind them of this, it's like you, I'm just so grateful that we can do this, like that this is a thing. So in terms of, how do you show up, you know, every month in terms of what you're doing work-wise? Are you doing in-person gatherings? I remember looking at your website once, I felt like you had some kind of goddess circles and you have your programs. Like, just kind of give us a sense of how right now your business is designed.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So yes, I used to run goddess groups weekly, but I don't do that anymore. So I've just launched Open Wide, the book, which is out everywhere now. You can get that at melissaambrosini.com/open wide to get a copy of that book.
Great.
I've got my podcast, which I do every week. There's an episode that comes out every Monday motivation. And then there's an interview that comes out every Thursday, which I love.
Okay.
So that's really fun. And I've got all my online programs and products and mentoring programs that I do and my online meditations. And I just finished touring around Australia with my husband, Nick, for our Open Wide tour. We created a show together. He is a musician and he wrote a song called Open Wide and my book's called Open Wide. So we decided to create a show, a different experience that brought music, motivation, and meditation together. So it was kind of like a Coldplay concert mix between Tony Robbins.
Awesome.
So it was pretty awesome. It was so much fun. And we've got a team that we mentor in a program called The Path to Freedom, which we do together. As well, which is really, really fun. Mentoring women to unlock and men to unlock their full potential and create businesses and lives that they absolutely love. So yeah, that's just a little snippet of what we've got going on at the moment. And we just love it so much fun.
Yeah. And your point is that this will evolve as you evolve. So, you know, we'll do things that in a certain season of our business and our life, and then we move into a new season and we're called to serve in a different way. And it's so cool what you all created together with the tour. It's like, he's a musician, you have this new book, like, why not do something like that? And so you went around, you connected with your community all around Australia. And, you know, was that in conjunction with the launching of the book, right? Kind of getting out there and meeting your readers. Yes.
Yeah. And him celebrating his music as well.
How is it to work with your partner?
It is the best thing ever. It is the best. He is the best business partner. I am just in awe of him. I love I love being in business and life with him. It's the best. But we have to set boundaries for sure, because the lines get blurred sometimes, and it will be 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and we're still talking about work. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. No, 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 no. We are lovers first and foremost. Our lovers is our first role. Then we're business partners second. And so, you know, sometimes, and we get so excited because we're so entrepreneurial and we have all of these amazing things that we're working on. Like, he's a musician and he's producing a movie and he's like got a million things that he's doing. He's the CEO of like 4 companies. So he's got so much going on. He's created apps. He's done so many things. But for me, it's like, whoa, okay, no, no, no. We are lovers first and foremost, business partners second. So, you know, we have to put some lines in the sand and we have to put some boundaries, like no work talk at night. You know, we're very strict with that sort of thing. And we just have to make sure that we stick to those boundaries that we've created.
Yes. Yes. That's really wonderful insight. I've heard that from, you know, many colleagues of mine who work with partners, and yeah, that, oh my gosh. Yeah. Your lovers first. And that's, you know, it's important for those of us who don't work with our partners, but, you know, for me, I'm a mother and I have, with my husband, we have 3 kids, and we can be lovers and, you know, partners over and above. Yes, we're also parents, but you do need to prioritize your relationship. You know, that's something that Steve and I have always done a pretty good job of that, but, you know, you can get lost. And we went through a period where we used to do regular date nights and those just fell off the calendar, and we realized that needs to come back. And so we've been doing those now for the last few months. We have a sitter come on Mondays, and what's neat is that he's a sports television producer, and here in the States we have what's called the Directors Guild of America, and this is the governing body that votes on the film nominees for the Oscars, and he gets all the films sent to him during award season. And it's very hard for us to watch the movies because we have these young kids and most of them aren't appropriate for children to watch. And so we're like, I have every awesome film here. And so now we have a sitter. We don't go out. We eat, him and I, and we go down to our little, you know, our basement where we have this big TV, and we watch a film together. And the babysitter keeps the kids upstairs. And, you know, just by us bringing that back and just, you know, sitting next to each other on the couch, not having the kids on us, needing to parent, it's like magic. You know, you just remember what brought you together to begin with. And, you know, for him and I, we love really great films. Like, we love that. Like, we are like film nerds, you know, we're like, oh my gosh, like we'll look at scenes and how it was shot, and, you know, and so I want all of our listeners to take that in. If you work with your partner, you need to listen to what Melissa has to say, lovers first. And if you have all these other things going on, like, don't neglect your relationship. I mean, that's what your book is dedicated to. Melissa's bringing that back. So everybody, melissaambrosini.com/open wide, go get it. I mean, your relationship is so important, and no success in the world is worth losing a treasured relationship over, which can very much happen. I mean, have you seen that in your journey, Melissa, with a lot of successful, you know, people, and they kind of forget who their people are on that journey?
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, sharing your journey with someone and with others that you love is just so rewarding. So yeah, don't forget that.
Don't forget them. All right. Final question, Melissa. This is something I asked all my guests. You answered it when you came on many moons ago. So you can think about it in the term of, you know, since mastering your mean girl and where you are now with Open Wide, in that time period, what is the gutsiest move you've made? And how does it impact your life and work at this very moment?
I guess, you know, I've made some big gutsy moves financially, which have really stretched me in terms of my beliefs. and forced me to master my mean girl and practice everything that I preach. So I guess, yeah, that financial, big gutsy financial growth has been huge, but so rewarding, and forced me to really step into everything that we've spoken about. So yeah, it's been, you know, and I love doing things that stretch me, because there's growth always on the other side.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you bring up money, because that, you know, for women can be a big trigger point, and they're so petrified of making an investment, or, you know, doing this or doing that. Because I think so many of us were conditioned that, like, it's not going to come back. You know, if you spend it, what's going to happen next? And so we have these, you know, ridiculous thoughts. Like, my fear is I'm going to be out on the street, you know, like I'm going to be homeless. And, you know, we have to look back and where that came from, you know, where we have these original messages from. And, you know, as you said, Melissa, in order to stretch into those new realms, we have to be willing to make these moves and be very clear about why we're doing it. And then be willing to, you know, put the work involved into, you know, capitalizing on that investment or making good on that decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Thanks so much for being here. Melissa, thanks for your wisdom. Congratulations on the new book. Many blessings. I know our listeners are going to get so much value from it. I love those two words, open wide. So with that, I send everybody so much love. This is Jenny Fennick sending you so much love, light, and faith as you get gutsy. I'll see you next time.